Hello, I want to welcome everyone to The Power of Our Story, Wounds to Wisdom, Healing Through Veteran and First Responder Narratives, Author Storytelling Night. So tonight I am thrilled to introduce Michelle Collier. Michelle spent 14 years at a 911 dispatcher and supervisor. In 2020, life created a perfect storm, which left her with a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder, otherwise known as PTSD, and the loss of her career. Through her journey of healing, Michelle is learning the true meaning of empowerment. She has shifted her career and is now happily working at Idaho State University. She is also serving as the social media coordinator for The Power of Our Story, a platform that invites veterans and first responders into a safe space where they soon discover they do not need to suffer in silence. And in case you didn't know, that is our platform, The Power of Our Story. Michelle is just an incredible asset to The Power of Our Story. Michelle is happily married to Kyle. They have three children. And when she is not working or spending time with her family, she is studying to complete a master's degree in public administration. So, Michelle, I just want to thank you so much for not only being an author in our book and sharing your story, but for being so supportive of everybody on this platform with all the work that you do for us. So, thanks again for being here tonight, and I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Sarah. So my chapter is called The Journey Back to True Empowerment. When you become a 911 dispatcher, you are taught that you're the center of everything. You're the key component to making everything run as smoothly as possible. Officer needs help? That's on you to know exactly where to send the help and what type of help to send. A parent calls 911 because their child is not breathing? It's on you to know how to get help started and provide the best life-saving measures possible. I was a dispatcher for 14 years. Half of that time was spent as a supervisor. I worked for three different departments, all of which had the call sign of control to get dispatch on the radio. That call sign, in and of itself, solidified that I was in control. I had the power, or so I thought. This is my journey to finding my way back to true empowerment. On January 7th, 2021, I walked out of my communications center for the last time. Just to be clear, that was not my intention. My intention was to take some vacation time for the rest of the month and return refreshed and back to normal. I was struggling with processing a very traumatic incident I worked on in November of 2020. My department placed a total of three dispatchers and approximately 17 officers on paid administrative leave following that incident. They required each of us to see a psychiatrist and be cleared before returning to work. I was out for 3 weeks. It didn't help. I just wanted to get back to work, get back to normal. So I just said whatever I needed to say so the psychiatrist would clear me. For the next month and a half, I struggled a lot. I was trying my best to push through each workday, but I was not holding myself to my typical high standard work ethic. I was very irritable when I talked to people, but mostly I was withdrawn. I used up quite a bit of my sick leave. I'd call out for whole shifts, and when I did go to work, I usually left early. Sleeping was tough for me. I wasn't getting good sleep because of the nightmares. I was constantly picking fights with my boyfriend and snapping at my daughter without even realizing it. It took a fellow dispatch supervisor to recognize my struggle. It was on that day, January 7th of 2021, that she told me I needed to talk to our manager and take some time off, or she was going to say something herself. Even in that moment, I still felt like I was in control. I figured I could just take a few weeks off and get back to normal. Unfortunately, instead of getting better, I got worse. Anxiety paired with hypervigilance became a controlling factor in my life. I would limit going outside of my house because public spaces left me feeling out of control. I'd get anxiety attacks. A lot of times I would find myself paralyzed with fear. So I'd just stay home, safe on my couch as much as I could. This quickly led to me not getting dressed, which led to me not showering or even brushing my hair. I wasn't eating enough, so I began losing weight. I couldn't track conversations. I'd forget what I was saying halfway through sentences. I was taking online classes to complete my bachelor's degree in psychology and ended up taking a medical leave because I had no ability to concentrate. I'd read an article for class and had no idea what I had just read. I was easily triggered by sounds, and there was a constant white noise in my head. Flashbacks, they were a new normal for me. I sunk into a depression, which made it very difficult to care for my 3.5-year-old daughter. I felt awful that she had to see me this way, but there was nothing I could do about it. My false sense of control was gone, and this was me crumbling. I tried to hide it for so long, but my brain was telling me I couldn't take any more. While being stuck in the darkness, I started the process for workers' compensation since I was formally diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. The case was accepted, and I started seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist. My therapist was a great fit for me. She was culturally competent and understood why certain things really bothered me. It's really important to find a therapist that fits you. I worked with plenty who were not the right fit, and it caused me some setbacks. One day, a friend told me about this group of first responders and veterans who meet for virtual coffee and conversation every week. This group is called The Power of Our Story. My friend told me to check it out because she felt it would help me. I took the information and let it sit for a bit. I didn't feel like socializing, even if it was only virtually. I definitely was not up for putting on my happy face. I think it was almost a month before I decided to give it a shot. I jumped on one night and heard the story of one of the most amazing people I know. His name is Aaron Terrell. He shared his journey with traumatic brain injury, PTSD, and other medical conditions caused by an injury while on duty as a police officer. Now, allow me to explain something. The traumatic incident I worked on back in November of 2020 cut through the very core of who I am. It shocked my soul. This is how deeply it affected me. It was the icing on the cake, the reason for my mental shutdown, and entrance into a storm of darkness. Almost 1 year later, I heard Aaron's story for the first time. It was like electricity to my soul. It gave me the shock I needed to begin my fight out of the darkness. He was able to put into words all the craziness and emotions I was feeling. He was able to explain what I couldn't find the words to voice. He understood me even though he had never met me. His vulnerability that night showed me that I wasn't alone. There was a small beam of light starting to show through my storm. I started regularly attending the Power of Our Story. I started off silent, never saying much, just listening. Slowly, as I grew more comfortable, I started to speak about my own experiences and struggles. This group of people became genuine friends, never judging me and offering support and advice. I needed this. This group became a pillar on my journey of healing. It was through the Power of Our Story that I found resources to help me, like a sleep program called 62 Romeo. I'm getting good night's sleep again. 22-0 was a resource that helped me process a lot of traumatic incidents. It was all just one Zoom call away. I am forever grateful to Sarah Carell, the founder of the Power of Our Story. The virtual platform she created for those of us suffering in silence is so needed. In that way, COVID became a blessing. That was exactly what I needed because at the time, there was no way I was leaving my house, especially to go to a public place, meet a group of strangers, and talk about the deepest, most vulnerable parts of myself. Not in the state I was in. I am forever grateful. I have since settled my workers' compensation case, and my family and I have moved to another state. We live in a smaller city with a slower pace of life. It has been the perfect fit for me as I continue my mental health journey. I currently work at a university where my value is based on me as a person and not what I do for an organization. I enrolled in school and completed my bachelor's degree and have since started on my master's. I have started eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy, EMDR, and it has really helped me turn flashbacks into memories, so I'm not crippled by them when they creep into my mind. The biggest success for me is that I found my power. More importantly, after living 14 years with a false sense of control, I discovered the truth about my power. Now, I know that my power is the ability to ask for help when I'm struggling. My power is taking time off of work for mental health's sake to attend my EMDR sessions. My power is in finding my own identity versus associating it with what I do for a living. And my power is in being vulnerable and sharing my story so that others can know they are not alone. The journey was tough. I'd even venture to say it may be one of the hardest roads I've taken. But once the light returned and all the pieces fell into place, that hard road was worth it. I do not wish my trauma on anyone, nor do I wish to repeat it. However, it has gotten me to where I am today, and for that, I am grateful. Thank you.
Michelle, the courage that it has taken you to write and share your hard story with so much grace. Um, it was just beautifully done. And I just want to thank you so much for being so generous. I just cannot imagine how many people this is touching. And thank you. Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you. I'm going to now turn off the recording. This is a time where we have a closer and more intimate conversation that's not meant to be recorded. But if anybody is watching this, you are welcome to reach out to us on thepowerofourstory.com, and we will give you the link to come join us and join our conversation. Thank you.